Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you the most broken and insane build I managed to create so far in this game. It can one-shot literally any boss or enemy on your first turn, since it deals more than 300 million damage in one hit. I was able to one-shot Simon, Clair and clear all the endless tower trials with this build very easily. Even when you cannot one-shot the enemy for various reasons, or if you're fighting multiple enemies, this build still does insane AoE damage, so you can clear any battle with no effort. The build focuses on Maelle and her Sandfall skill, which deals extreme single target void damage, and with all the buffs we are stacking on her and the debuffs we are stacking on the enemy, the damage exceeds 360 million. For the other party members, we are using Verso for his Radiant Slash and powerful skills, and Sciel for her Fortune's Fury and intervention skills, which will increase Maelle's damage considerably. We are also using the Auto Death plus Breaking Death combo on Sciel and Marking Break on Verso, which allows us to put enemies in the stunned state during our first turn, while also marking them. This will provide us with a 70% damage increase right at the start. Before we can get started, you will need a few key items to make this build work as follows. The Medallum weapon for Maelle. This weapon can be obtained from the Gestral village by defeating the Golgra boss, or alternatively win the Gestral tournament using Maelle. You can use any other weapon you want, but this weapon has the highest DPS out of all the weapons I have tested, and with this you can reach over 360 million damage. The Painted Power Pictos, which you automatically obtain after defeating the Paintress. The First Strike Pictos to ensure you always go first with your team. This can be obtained in the Stone Wave Cliff map. The Auto Death Pictos, which can be obtained from the Merchant in the Yellow Harvest map. The Breaking Death Pictos, which can be obtained from the Thunder Évêque in the Continent map. The Marking Break Pictos, which can be obtained from the Merchant in the Endless Night Sanctuary map. The Cheater Pictos, which is crucial for any build and which can be obtained by defeating the Sprung boss. The Energizing Death Pictos, which can be obtained from the Forgotten Battlefield map. The Energizing Start Pictos, which we will need at least 3 of. This can be obtained on the beach behind the Gestral village, in Ancient Sanctuary, in Eski's Nest and in the Forgotten Battlefield. The Energizing Turn Pictos, which can be obtained by defeating the Siren boss. And the Second Chance Pictos, which you automatically get after defeating Renoir the first time. Besides these key items, your damage output will depend on how many damage increase Pictos you have equipped on Maelle. I recommend getting the following Pictos to maximize your damage. At Death's Door for 50% more damage, Augmented First Strike for 50% more damage on the first hit, Confident Fighter for 30% more damage, First Offensive for 50% more damage on the first hit, Glass Cannon for 25% more damage, Greater Defenseless for 15% more damage from the Defenseless debuff, Greater Powerful for 15% more damage from the Powerful buff, Immaculate for 30% more damage, Inverted Affinity for 50% more damage, Teamwork for 10% more damage, Powered Attack for 20% more damage, Burning Death plus Burn Affinity combo for 25% more damage, and Warming Up for 5% more damage after each turn, up to 25%. You don't need all of these, but the more you have, the more damage you will deal. Another key element for this build is your party order. You want to make sure that Maelle goes first, followed by Verso, and lastly Sciel. In order to control your party order, make sure Maelle has the highest speed, followed by Verso and then Sciel. You can control the speed stat easily by using the 3 equipped Pictos for each character. Also make sure that all 3 characters have the First Strike Picto equipped. Let's take a look at each character and see what weapon, Pictos and skill they have equipped. When it comes to Sciel, she will act as a supporting character, meaning her weapon is irrelevant and she doesn't need any damage increase Pictos. When it comes to the 3 equipped Pictos, use whatever you want, but make sure they don't give you speed, since you want her to go last. When it comes to skills, the only 2 skills you will need are Fortune's Fury and Intervention, which allow you to double the damage of Maelle and make her go a second time while the enemy is still stunned. For her active Pictos, you want the following: Auto Death, Breaking Death, Burning Death, Cheater, Energizing Death, Energizing Start, at least 3 of these, First Strike, Painted Power and Second Chance. If you have leftover Lumina, feel free to add any other Pictos you want. When it comes to her attributes, they are pretty much irrelevant, but you can max out health and speed, just in case the fight goes longer than expected. Moving on to Verso, which acts as our second support character, while also dealing decent damage. For the weapon, it's not extremely important, but you should use Contorso because it allows you to get S rank immediately and lots of AP and damage. When it comes to the 3 equipped Pictos, use whatever you want, just make sure his speed is higher than that of Sciel. When it comes to skills, you need Radiant Slash and Powerful in order to be able to break enemies on his first turn and apply Powerful to the party. You should also equip Phantom Stars and Endbringer in case the fight goes longer than expected to be able to finish off the enemy. For his active Pictos, you want the following: Cheater if not already equipped, First Strike, Greater Powerful, Marking Break, Painted Power and Second Chance. If you have leftover Lumina, feel free to add any damage increase Pictos you want. When it comes to his attributes, max out Agility and whatever else you feel like. Now, moving on to the main character of the team, Maelle. For the weapon, you should use Medallum if you have it, otherwise use any other weapon of the highest level. You can keep your weapon at level 32, but it is highly recommended to upgrade it to level 33 for a lot more damage. You can farm the upgrade material for level 33 in the Flying Manor map. When it comes to the 3 equipped Pictos, use whatever you want just to ensure she has the highest speed in your team and 100% critical rate. When it comes to skills, there are 4 that you absolutely must have. These are Phantom Strike, Guard Down, Stendhal and Last Chance. Phantom Strike is your AoE full screen wipe skill, which you should use to clear out groups of weaker enemies. Guard Down is your debuffing skill, which we are pairing with the Greater Defenseless Pictos to make enemies take 40% more damage. Stendhal is the core skill of this build, which deals extreme single target damage and one-shots any enemy or boss. Last Chance is our buffing skill, which we are using to reduce our health to 1 and switch to Virtuous Stance. It is highly important to always be in Virtuous Stance when you're dealing damage because of the 200% damage increase. This skill also synergizes with our At Death's Door Pictos, which increases our damage by 50% while below 10% health. When it comes to her active Pictos, you want the following: At Death's Door, Augmented First Strike, Burn Affinity, Cheater, Confident Fighter, First Offensive, First Strike, Glass Cannon, Greater Defenseless, Immaculate, Inverted Affinity, Painted Power, Powered Attack, Teamwork, and Warming Up. If you have leftover Lumina, feel free to add any other Pictos you want. When it comes to attributes, max out Might and the other 2 stats that your weapon scales with, in my case Defense and Agility. Now let's get into the playstyle and skill rotation of this build. When the fight starts, Sciel will die and resurrect, applying burn and maximum break bar to all enemies. After that, Maelle will take her first turn. During this turn, start by using Guard Down to apply Greater Defenseless to all enemies for 3 turns. After that, use Last Chance to reduce your health to 1, fill your AP bar and switch to Virtuous Stance. Next, your Verso will take his turn. Since the enemy's break bar is full, start by using his Radiant Slash skill to break the enemy and stun them. This will also apply an Empowered Mark that lasts for 2 turns, increasing the damage the enemy takes by 50%. For Verso's second turn, use his Powerful skill to apply Greater Powerful to the party, giving them a 40% damage increase buff. Now your Sciel will take her turn. Start off by using the Fortune's Fury skill on Maelle to make her deal double damage next turn. After that, use Intervention to make Maelle take her turn again. The reason we are doing this now is to ensure we take advantage of the stun debuff on the enemy, which makes them take 20% more damage. Now when Maelle takes her turn, it's time to deal some damage. Simply use her Stendhal skill on the boss or the enemy you want to kill first, and it will deal an insane amount of damage and one-shot the enemy. In case you are fighting 3 enemies of equal power, you should use Phantom Strike instead to wipe them all out in 1 turn. If you have all the Pictos and your characters and weapon upgrades to the max level, you should easily deal 360 million damage per skill, which is enough to kill anything in the game. This build is also perfect to use in New Game Plus, where enemies have much more health, and you should still have an easy time with pretty much all battles. That will be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and if you like to see other builds for other characters. I have other builds coming up in the next few days, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.